Hey everyone, welcome back to the Niche Pursuits podcast. We are recording an episode of This Week in Niche Pursuits News. And of course, I'm your host, Spencer Hawes, and I have my co-host with me, Jared Bauman. Jared, how you doing?
Doing well. Looking forward. We got some new types of topics this week. It's not just AI for once in a while. So it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's lots of AI news, but we've decided to move away from that this week at least and talk about some other things because there actually are a lot of interesting things always happening in the industry. And so I think we're going to just cover a couple of search engine news, content creator news that I think are interesting. So definitely people are going to want to listen into the news topics that we cover. And then, of course, for returning listeners, they know that we cover two other segments of the podcast here. We jump into Shiney Object Shenanigans, where Jared and I discuss our side hustle projects that we have going on, things that are not our main business, but that are interesting and maybe keep us excited about trying different things. So we'll share some of those things that we're working on. And then finally, we will cover weird niche sites. Jared and I both have a weird niche site, something that's off the beaten path, something that's a little bit different that we'll share, usually in the humorous vein, if you will. And this week is going to be no different. So let's jump into the episode, shall we, Jared?
Let's do it. Let's get started. Before we jump into the podcast, I wanted to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by Search Intelligence. Here's a short clip of Ferry from Search Intelligence showing you how their agency built digital PR links to a client's website.
This is how we landed massive links for our client in The Sun, a DR90 website, and many other UK news websites. We have used freely available data from YouGov to simply find out what the nation's favorite car brand is and which brands people love the most. Of course, Rolls-Royce came out on top, Aston Martin second, and Jaguar third. We put these insights in a short email and sent it to journalists that write about cars and to national news desks on behalf of our client. Within a few days, our client got featured in all the Suns, as well as many regional newspaper sites in the UK, gaining DR90 links to their leasing comparison website. YouGov website is full of unlimited PR stories with data already available for free. All you have to do is to start researching their data and start asking the data questions. You will be surprised of the unlimited PR campaigns that you will find there that can help you build massive exposure and links to your or your clients' websites. I hope this video is helpful and inspirational.
If you want similar link building PR campaigns for your website, head to search-intelligence.co.uk and get in touch with them now.
So this week in the news, first of all, is YouTube made a big announcement. YouTube announced that they actually lowered the requirements for content creators. And so in order to get monetized on YouTube, the requirements have been lowered now. And so you need only 500 subscribers, where before it was 1,000 subscribers in order to get your channel monetized. And then you also need 3,000 long-form watch hours in the last 12 months. Or you can have 3 million short views in the last 90 days. I don't know what the short views requirement was previously, but I do remember that the long form watch hours was 4,000 hours previously. And so now they've lowered that down to 3,000 hours and 500 subscribers. So any thoughts or opinions on why you think that they've made this change, Jared?
Well, I mean, I think video is becoming more prominent and a lot more large brands are leaning into video. I mean, as we've talked about on the podcast before, like the influencer program at Amazon, but that's not, inside of that, they have so many new things like shoppable videos. They have Amazon Inspire. Obviously, TikTok has been eroding market share for a while. So I think they're just trying to, it's really nice to see. I think we're finally seeing a bit of a renaissance in big, large brands trying to actually make it a little easier for content creators to make money on platforms rather than making it harder for them. So I think that probably from a high level has a lot to do with it. Certainly, it's still not easy to monetize on YouTube. Like, this isn't now to the point where you turn on a YouTube account, publish a couple of videos, and expect to be monetizing a month later. But this is a lot better in many ways, right? I think there's a lot of things about this that make it a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, in some ways, it's kind of like, why not, even from YouTube's perspective, because it's not like they're putting in a bunch more effort in order to unlock the monetization, feature, right? They actually increase their inventory of ad space when they have more videos that are available. And so I guess they don't allow you to monetize from day one, just to make sure you're kind of a legit channel and a legit person, if you will. You've actually got some following. So I don't think this will ever go down to like 0 subscribers, like just, hey, monetize from day one. But this is a step that makes a little bit easier. And then in this tweet, they also do mention you can apply to the partner program to unlock access to super thanks, super chat, super stickers, channel memberships, and shopping. And I will just say, I am not real familiar with all of these other ways that you can monetize your channel, other than I guess I kind of know what it is, right? You can give a super thanks or a super sticker, I guess, to say, hey, I really love the content that you're putting out there. Here's a sticker or a thanks, right? You pay for. I've never used any of those to monetize my channel. I don't know if you know anybody that's using stickers and super chats and super thanks and all these things, but that's kind of another interesting avenue that people can follow.
You might be interested in channel memberships. We do have a client that does make use of channel memberships. You've talked in the past, I think during Shiny Object Shenanigans segment, about different potential ideas for a sub channel, if you will, or a subgroup of niche pursuits that's a little bit more engaged and a little bit more premium. So, I think that's, we don't need to get deep into it, but channel memberships might be something that niche pursuits could take advantage of. I don't know much about the rest of it as it relates to what we do,
Yeah, that's a good idea. Kind of a light bulb there of, I talked last week about kind of doing some of these 30-day business channel videos for niche pursuits. And so maybe there could be some locked content that's more in depth, more, with individual people participating in this challenge, or just other content that if people really want to dive deep and be sort of a member, maybe it's behind a membership directly on YouTube.
Here's an idea. Like maybe we do the weekly podcast interviews with an expert, and maybe at another time that week or right after the interview's done, the membership group would get to log in and actually have an open Q&A with that interviewer, for example, something like that maybe.
Yeah, I like that. So if you're watching on YouTube or listening anywhere else, go ahead and leave a comment down below and let us know if you like that idea. If you like some sort of additional access to podcast guests or other additional content where maybe there's a live Q&A and you can get involved in the process. We did not plan on talking about this on this episode. Just so it's clear. But hey, that's kind of an interesting idea. So leave a comment and let us know. So, other news that is interesting is that Time is going to remove their digital paywall. So Time Magazine, of course, is a 100+ year old organization that started publishing magazines. I don't know what year, and maybe it says what year in this article, right? But it's a very well-known, trusted brand. And then
turned 100 this year, Spencer.
It did.
It turned 100 this year. Yeah, well, I didn't realize that either.
I nailed it. 100 years. Man, wouldn't that be cool if you had a company that existed 100 years from now? And so, they always charged for their magazines. Of course, that's how it worked. And then the internet came along, and they didn't really know what to do with the internet. And so I think it says here in the article, some form of digital paywall since 2011, right? They decided to put basically the whole archive of their magazines behind a paywall. So if you wanted to access, I think both their new magazines and all their old magazines, you had to pay for it. And they currently have 1.3 million print subscribers and 250,000 digital subscribers. and they've now made the decision to no longer charge for anything digitally. You can, they're removing their paywall. So they're actually going to be getting rid of, if I'm reading this correctly, 250,000 digital subscribers. They're basically saying, hey, we're not going to charge you anymore. Anybody that comes to the website gets it for free, and they're going to monetize with display ads. They're really going to rely on advertising on their website for that. And so it's kind of interesting in a couple of ways, right? And I'll let you chime in here, Jared, in a second. But my reaction to this is, man, that's kind of cool. It sort of is in agreement with the model that we tend to follow, right? That, hey, man, you can optimize and monetize your site really well just with display ads. You can make a great amount of money. And so Time is going to lean into that model of, hey, let's just rank more content and make more money on display advertising. And so that's the other piece of it here, is that they probably will get a lot more rankings in Google, because I think they're going to make their archives indexed in Google. And so, 100 years worth of magazines, you just have to imagine that, hey, they're going to have a lot more pages ranked that previously were not indexed because they were behind a paywall. So they're going to get more traffic. They're going to get more display ad revenue. And they're making the bet that that's going to make up for the 250,000 lost subscribers, if you will.
I mean, we just got done talking about memberships, right? And the YouTube side of things. And here we are with a story that kind of goes the opposite direction of that. But I agree with you. I mean, Times, well, let me walk through a little bit that the article does talk about that. I think it's interesting, and then it'll kind of add on to your point, Spencer. Like, if you read this article, and I encourage people to click through it, because what you get to see is that they kind of unpack all the experimentation that Time has done over the last 12 years, which I find fascinating as a marketer, because I'm always like, man, if I could, remember interviewing Sean Hill, and he gets to work on Forbes magazine when he worked there. And it's like, you try things and get results so fast, you learn so much. And in many ways, we get to learn a lot about their experimentation. In 2011, like you said, they started with a paywall. It was a hard paywall, but then later that year, they added it to a hard paywall for all their archives. So everything went behind a paywall. Then in 2015 and 2016, so 4 or 5 years later, they began to experiment with metered paywalls, which we're familiar with. I think New York Times does that. You get 2 articles or 4 articles a month to read. That triggered after a reader visits a website a certain amount of times, returned to the hard paywall in 2016. Then in 2021, it returned to a metered paywall across its whole site, including its archives, and then went back to where we're at now, which is opening it back up to everyone. So if I were to read into that, I'd say the data is mixed. And at the end of the day, this is another move in the direction of, hey, let's try to increase our footprint as much as possible, and then rely on, well, what we talk about on every single week here, right? Like, rely on ads, rely on email subscriptions, rely on additional types of content vehicles that are perhaps paid or monetized in a different way. And I do think that's encouraging. I do think it's validating. And when a big brand starts to go the route that we go, like, it's not indicative, but it certainly is something to pay attention to.
Right. I agree. And I should have mentioned that this article is published on Axios.com. So if people want to find the article that we're referencing here. And then I like this sort of the big picture, right? This statement here, it says, legacy publishers are still trying to figure out how to make money online. Right? I love that statement because that's what we talk about all day, every day. And, is how to monetize and make money online. And these publishers that have a lot of baggage, that have been around for 100 years, I mean, that is a major undertaking to just, I don't know how many periodicals, how many magazines they've published, right? They have this huge backlog. What do you do with all that, right?
I mean, probably millions of articles at this point, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so that's something that they're clearly always been grappling with. And, we didn't dive into the financials, but usually when there's all this testing, every couple of years they're tweaking and changing things. It means they're probably not making as much money as they want. They're either losing money or just not making as much money as they want, right? Many times these large organizations are not profitable certain years just because they have a huge staff and overhead and support and all this stuff. Whereas individual publishers like you and I, we can be nimble and quick and we don't have a lot of overhead, right? We've got a couple freelance writers and we do the editing, right? And so we have that advantage, right, for listeners, is that if you are a niche website owner or a blogger, you actually have a huge advantage over companies like Time Magazine in certain regards because you are so much smaller. You can act quick. You can jump on the trends or the changes in the industry, and you can be more aware of what's going on in Google, hopefully because you listen to the Niche Pursuits news episodes. And kind of make those changes real quick.
Speaking of, boy, wouldn't it be fun to have somebody, if we could, from Time Magazine on to talk about these last 12 years of experimenting and why they're going that route and what the opportunities they see in the future are?
Yeah, well, we know who owns it. It's it's
Mark
right
Benioff.
here. Mark Benioff, right? Billionaire acquired it a couple years ago. So let's reach out and get him on the podcast.
Podcasts like ours these days.
Yeah, you never know. But
it's true. Don't ask, don't get.
That's right. But that would be interesting. I bet there's somebody in the Time digital marketing department that, so if you're listening, Time Magazine, we would love to get your opinion on this.
It looks like they're searching how to make money online. And, Spencer, you rank very high for niche of some of those terms. So,
That's right.
They might be listening. You never know.
Right. If they just add the right keywords, something about how to make money online with publishing or make money online with niche sites or, they'll find us. So there you go. I think this is fascinating to me. Anyways, I don't know if people listening in find this fascinating, but I love to see what's happening in the publishing industry at large. Of course, because we talk about a lot, small publishers all the time on the podcast. We bring on the owners all the time, and we are competing with the huge organizations like Time in the SERPs, right? For individual keywords sometimes. And so it's interesting to see the moves they're making and, what's our competition doing. And so I find this fascinating.
I agree. And there's some other tidbits in there about what other, Gannett, the US's largest local newspaper, what they've done, Quartz, Spotify, Netflix, Disney Plus. So, there's a lot of other stuff you could deep dive and have links to that. And, I found myself going down the rabbit holes. I read this, but I agree with you. Staying informed about high-level marketing news is really good. It does help us be better publishers in our very small businesses that we run.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on. We have two other what I'll call quick hit news items here that we'll try to be brief. We'll see what we can do, but they are interesting developments nonetheless. And so, Jared, I think you had one here on a report put out by SEMrush that I'm going to share this tab right now. It looks like there was a tweet by Morty Oberstein that put it on your radar. Of course, Morty was on the podcast just 2 weeks ago, I guess.
Yeah, very recently. I mean, I think we dove into a similar report a month or two back, but drawing out some insights. I like the way you put it, that you probably missed. Well, we did. If they were in that original report, we did. And they were some interesting ones. I thought if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the graphic in front of you. There's a couple ones I'll just call out that I think are interesting. Would love to get your take on it. 29% of users, say in Google or another search engine, they switch from one keyword to another before they actually click. That's a third of people that do that. That is, to me, fascinatingly high. Another one that I thought was really interesting and not really good news, unfortunately, but worth talking about. Only 1 in 5 searches led to a click on the first result in 2022. Now, we're used to flaunting the data that has been done previously where anywhere from 30 to 36% of clicks go to the first result, and that dropping to 20%, I don't think is because people are now clicking on number 2, number 3, number 4 with a higher percentage. I think it's because more zero-click search results and all the other stuff we're experiencing is happening. But two pieces of data that I thought were worth at least sharing here and also getting your take on.
Yeah. Now, do we think that these two pieces of data are related? When you think about it, 1 in 5 searches led to a click. Well, this is saying, the top number is saying 30% of people switch from one keyword to another before they click, right? So is that the reason, people maybe are just trained better at using search engines, right? You type in one thing and you kind of quickly peruse the results and you're like, that's not quite what I meant. And you add a modifier, right, at the end or something, right? You switch your keyword. 30%, 29% of people are doing that nowadays. And so maybe that is what has led to 1 in 5 searches actually getting a click, which is maybe a slight change in perspective. Again, I have no idea if this is what's happening, but perhaps, it's a slight change in perspective from, oh man, nobody's clicking on results, or not as many people are clicking on results because Google's providing all the answers. Maybe it's because they tweaked their keyword and then they actually are clicking on results. They're real time.
No,
right?
That changed my perspective just now. I hadn't thought about it that way because I've always been trained and just thought like, oh, 0-click searches are because, doggone it, Google's given them the answer and they're not going to my content.
Yeah.
But the reality is maybe they're getting, certainly we see that the user patterns of search are changing and it's becoming more robust and people are using longer tail search queries now and these kinds of things. And so you're right. Maybe they look at the results, including maybe what Google is providing snippet wise and that sort of stuff and say, I have the tools in my tool set now to actually tweak what I'm searching for. And I'll do that again. That's an interesting perspective. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to bring some positivity to the conversation here, be bullish on blogging, but I think, that would be my hypothesis, right? If looking at this data, if I were to write up a master's thesis, this would be my hypothesis, right? Is like,
I like that. I like your hypothesis better than mine. I'll tell you that much.
So if we did some math, if I had my calculator, we could actually calculate, okay, 1 in 5 searches, but maybe we change it to 1 in 5 searchers. I don't know how you phrase that, right? Is actually, 1 in 3 actually do led to a click on the first result. Is that what we want? We want more, 1 in 3 searches actually do lead to a click, right? Instead of 1 in 5.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Is, right? So maybe it's 30% higher than whatever, 1 in 5 is. So that, I don't know. Again, just an opinion, but I think that would make sense.
And again, following down your point, like you certainly make more money on ads, make more money on conversions, sell more affiliate products, the more of the right person that shows up on your article, right? So, we talk about clicks, we talk about page views, we talk about these sorts of things, but in reality, and this is what I work a lot with at my agency, it's like page views are only one metric, like they don't lead to business. And I know in my agency, we have to get a lot more in depth on that with clients, like what type of client, what type of readers are arriving, how far down the buying funnel are they? And so in theory, a modified search approach is going to lead to a more qualified person coming to your website. Certainly if you're more of an affiliate marketer or selling direct products, walking down that hypothesis, you're going to hopefully see higher qualified people coming and a higher revenue per visitor in that regard.
Absolutely. So these were supposed to be quick hit items, so I'm going to just move on. We could talk about that one. I'm fascinated by that one. But there is a Search Engine Journal article. Google announced this, so all the search engine news covered this, but I just have Search Engine Journal pulled up, that Google aims to improve search quality with new feedback form. So Google had a feedback form, but they've tweaked it and made it more robust, I guess. Google has redesigned its search spam report form, broadening the types of search quality issues users can report. And so it's they're hoping to get more feedback from users, right? And it says user feedback significantly influences Google efforts to improve search result quality, right? And so I can just scroll and you can kind of see, I think you'll see this. Yeah, you can kind of see where you can report spammy, deceptive, or low quality web pages, right? And so the idea is that normal searchers, if they see something, they throw this in the form. Now, the worry is, at least according to Doom and Gloom Twitter, if you will, SEO Twitter. At least a couple of people, right, on Twitter is like, well, if Google makes it that much easier, to report different types and report more websites, is that going to just lead to a bunch of negative SEO, right? Your competitors are going to then just spam this form with a bunch of, reports saying, Jared's website is trash. He needs to be taken out of the SERPs. That's the negative view on it. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I mean, in the name of trying to be brief, yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And hopefully, though, the positives outweigh the negatives, and hopefully the general masses embrace this.
Yep.
And the general masses report sites that we don't want ranking above us. And we're all frustrated when an update rolls out. And we're like, how in the heck is that spammy site ranking above me? And I put all this. And so hopefully the 80-20 is that the good sites still win more than they lose in something like this. But yeah, it's gonna happen. I mean, I've been in this industry long enough to know that it's probably accurate.
Yeah. Hopefully this form just actually goes to like a real human. Like, when a site has a certain number of reports, it goes to some other, level, and it's like either human or, anyways, we could dive into what happens. But I agree. Hopefully, if you really are creating a quality website, even if competitors, sort of try some negative things, which very likely will happen, it won't really matter at the end of the day. So anyways, interesting development. People can check that out and see the form that's available. So, all right. Whew.
Hey, that wasn't bad. We're at 25 minutes.
We're 25 minutes in.
I wanted to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by Search Intelligence. Here's a short clip of Ferry from Search Intelligence showing you how their agency built digital PR links to a client's website.
In this video, I will show you how we landed a placement on BBC and dozens of links in massive regional online publications such as Where's Online, Daily Post, and many more. This PR campaign was about the easiest place to pass your driving test for the first time in the UK. This is how we've done it. We simply went to DVLA website, found the latest car driving test data by test center, and downloaded the data in a CSV format. Once we had the data, all we had to do is to look at the number of total tests per test center, then look at the number of first time passes to calculate the percentage of people who passed their test for the first time. Once we had the percentage numbers, we created a press release with our findings. Then we went to Roxhill and found journalists who talk about driving tests, and also looked for journalists who write in regional publications in the UK. In total, we have found about 1,800 journalists and sent them our press release by email. Within less than a day, our story got picked up by BBC, Cornwall Live, Wales Online, and dozens of other publications in the UK, providing our client a tsunami of backlinks perfectly relevant to the audience of the client, who is a specialist in learner driver car insurance. I hope this video is helpful and it shows you how you can also build links with freely available data from official sources.
If you want similar link building PR campaigns for your website, head to search-intelligence.co.uk and get in touch with them now.
Very good. We are going to now move to our Shiney Object Shenanigans. And, I've talked about a couple of different things. I'm going to go back to talking about my YouTube channel that I have, my faceless YouTube channel. And
not to be confused with the Niche Pursuits YouTube channel.
Not the Niche Pursuits YouTube channel.
We forget that not everyone listening has listened to every episode we've done in the news each week. I forget this all the time.
Exactly. And so I have a YouTube channel that I partnered with somebody that we are publishing content where we don't show up in the videos. And so I should clarify, other people do show up, other faces do show up in the channel, but we call this a faceless channel because it's not any clips that we created ourselves, or we're not in the channel, right? And so long story short, the channel was earning like $80 to $90 a day. And I think I even talked about this previously a couple of weeks ago, that one of our videos did get a copyright claim. We appealed that decision. Well, the appeal came back denied. And so we have not been able to overturn that decision. And so let me share my image, I show just how drastic this has been. So this is like a negative share, right? Usually I try to toot my own horn, but this one is, hey, sometimes things don't go perfect, right? And this is like such a hands-off channel. Like I have never uploaded even a video, right? Like my partner is doing 100% of all the work. I just talk about it. No, I funded it, right? And so I'm a partner in that regard. But you can see that the channel near the end of May was making $80-$90. One of our videos that has about 1 million views, just shy of 1 million views, over the life of the video, was getting the bulk, 99% almost, of all their earnings on the channel. And so that's the video that got the copyright claim. And then our earnings, even though it looks like zero, it's $1 to $2 a day that the channel is still making from all the other videos that we've published. And our appeal was denied. And so where we're at right now is that we could either try a second appeal, or we could just move on and publish. We have planned to publish another 50 videos. We plan to go the second route. We're going to just sort of give up on that video. It's still getting tons of views. It's just not making money because that video got demonetized. We're not going to re-appeal it because we're afraid Google will look even harder, or YouTube will look even harder at our channel. And we're not as confident that they might just channel-wide demonetize us. So
is that a thing? Do you have any precedent on that?
I believe that's a thing. I believe that essentially if you get a couple of strikes, they can just make the decision of like, you know what, your channel looks like it should just not be monetized. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I wanted to say. Again, it's not a motivating update, but this is a real update, and I think people find it interesting. This is my side hustle. This isn't my, my family's still going to be able to eat. We're going to be okay.
I guess the big question for me, and just for people listening, probably maybe would have this from a very high level. Like, is there anything you would do differently at the outset, knowing what you know now? Or is it, no, these are the risks we knew. This is the way this type of channel works. This is just what it is.
So A, yes, this was the risk that we knew with this type of channel. But B, what we could have done different is pick a different niche. Without giving away like what this channel is, it's hard to explain. But essentially, we are using clips from, call it, other videos, right? And so all of those videos are copyrighted, but you're allowed to use small segments of videos. And if you add original commentary, that does take care of it. And we actually have won a couple of copyright claims on this channel, right? That YouTube, we appealed them. YouTube looked at it and overturned it and said, you know what, you're good. You're within the guidelines. So we're really towing the line, right? That we are within the guidelines, but this one video, maybe we used too long of a clip, right? Or we don't know exactly, what, the line is. I mean, we essentially know that, hey, we are using, like, I don't know how to explain it, but let's say you're summarizing, a tennis match that was, published by NBC, right? Like we're using the clips from NBC, like it's copyrighted material, but because it's clipped into shorter, segments with commentary, like that typically, I forgot what the phrase is, but that typically you don't have to worry about it. But we are towing that line so close that it's like NBC, in this case it was not NBC, but NBC, has the copyright claim, and YouTube said, yeah, we're going to uphold what NBC says. So.
Well, and so I think it's interesting just to share then that I think in general, there's a couple things going on here, and it's not necessarily like a doom and gloom about faceless YouTube channels, right?
Totally.
That was just the strategy. And then what this is the result of is copyright stuff with the way YouTube works and all that kind of stuff. There's other ways you could approach a faceless YouTube channel that don't involve this, and maybe that would work too. So, just people listening, right?
Totally. There is so many ways you can do a faceless YouTube channel. Like, you don't have to use clips from other people. You could do AI generated YouTube stuff. That could be interesting. You can do like almost PowerPoint presentations where it's just graphics, right?
Well,
You
I
have a
just did.
script and read it, and it just shows images, right? And then go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you probably haven't even heard it yet. I just did an interview that will come out on the podcast in the coming weeks with an individual who is doing a faceless YouTube channel very successfully, not involving any of the strategies you just shared. You're going to have to stay tuned for that one.
I love it. Very good. And so,
yeah, we have an example of one coming up.
Very good. But I will just say that, yes, we knew the risks of this channel going in. So we're going to keep publishing. Like I said, another 50 videos is scheduled to publish, and we'll kind of see where it is at that point. I mean, if we can get this back up to $1,000 a month, that would be a win for what I invested in this channel. So
very good. Well, thank you for sharing the lows and the highs.
That's right.
It's nice to see the lows. I will probably speak for a lot of people when I say that. It's not nice to see the lows, but it's nice to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we try to keep it real, right? We're not trying to sell anybody anything. We're just like reporting on the news. We're reporting on our side projects, keeping us honest. So,
I guess that means it's my turn, huh?
Yeah. Let's see what you got going on here, Jared.
Let's see here. All right. So I got a couple things. I'm ready to publicly talk about the YouTube project we're doing this summer.
All right. Ooh.
Let me pull up my notes because I had to get them from my wife because I still don't think I'm going to say this right. So a little backstory. A couple weeks ago, I said, hey, I think my next Shiny Object Shenanigan is going to be a YouTube channel that I think I'm going to do with my wife. It's going to be my wife's YouTube channel. I'm just there to help her now. So some backstory. I've been kind of teasing this. We've been putting together the building blocks over the last couple of weeks. Summer break started this week. So that was our go live period. My wife is a school counselor. So she's been a school counselor for probably 15 years now, everything from high school to middle school to grade school. She's at the elementary level now, and started really picking up over COVID as she needed to find new ways to impact kids and, a lot of different things that she was working through. But one of them was read-alouds with kids over Zoom and these kind of things. And without making a long story really long, the concept for the YouTube channel is read aloud books by a school counselor.
Oh.
And so this is called bibliotherapeutic approach to social emotional learning. That's what I had to write down. She's an expert in it. She's all fired up about it. She cares deeply about this stuff and its impact on kids. And a lot of parents and kids turn to YouTube for read alouds, especially as it relates to social emotional learning. So like, getting bullied or struggling with anxiety or just focus, or there's different books out there that kids get read. And so that's the long and short of it. We have our first 60 videos mapped out. She's going to be filming these videos, and we don't have a velocity schedule set yet because, she's like, I don't know how long it's going to take me to do these. I might be really good at it because I do it every day at work, or I might be really not good at it on camera. So, but that's the channel, and that's what we're going to be doing. And we're going to be trying to film as many videos as we can this summer. And then when she goes back to work for the new school year, we'll kind of circle the wagon, see how much content we got out, and see where we're at in terms of views and subscribers and all that kind of stuff.
That's really fascinating. I think it's an interesting idea. So will she just be reading a book aloud on video? Is that essentially what's going on here? Or is there like additional tips or explanation along the way throughout the video?
So the plan is to read the book aloud, yes. Whether she actually reads a physical book with like an overhead camera or digitizes the book, we're looking into and still trying to figure that out, like which one is the best way to go, what's the right way to go. You talked about copyright stuff, got to make sure we check all those boxes and make sure we're doing that right. Intro and conclusion, film the intro, film the conclusion with like a talking head at the camera explaining why this book was chosen, explaining how it can help, that sort of thing.
Okay. That's really cool. I like it. That's a fascinating niche, right? That's what we do here is we talk about all the different avenues you can go. She's clearly an expert, it sounds like, right? With all her years of counseling. And don't ask me to repeat the biblio learning phrase, but something along those lines,
bigger words than we normally use here on the podcast. That's for sure.
We have real experts doing real things out in the world.
Does make you question a little bit what you're doing with your day. Anyways,
Hey, we got it pretty cushy here.
someone's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it. That's cool. Well, I'll be fascinated to follow along. So it sounds like you guys are going to be starting pretty quick then.
Yeah, I mean, be tempered in your expectations on videos. Like we got a vacation coming up, and we're still working at the kinks, and but yeah, it's definitely happening. And so we'll just, it's okay. Like I said, we'll report the good and the bad, and I anticipate some weeks where we just don't get around to it, probably. But we'll see. We'll see how it comes together this summer, and we'll keep everybody updated all summer long as we're doing that, and hopefully people enjoy the updates. And we haven't talked about this style of YouTube channel, so it'll also be something fun to talk about in our Shiny Object Shenanigans coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. I am interested to hear progress on that for sure. So, having said that, let's move into our final segment here where we talk about weird niche sites. I love talking about it. I know you love talking about it. I think the listeners enjoy it. So we scour the web, all corners of the web, to pull out these gems that we find each week. And maybe I'll go first, just since you just went with your thing, and so we'll mix it up. You can bring us home at the end. Boy, how do I preface this exactly? This is one that I heard about a long time ago. I was actually at a business conference in, I don't remember what year, but it had to have been like 2013-ish, like a long time ago, 10 years ago. The founder, I should have looked up who the founder was and who created this. But he just thought it would be really funny to create this website that Star Wars fans will know. There's like the scene. Anyways, it's Darth Vader screaming, "No!" And so he created the website no.com. It's with I don't know how many O's in the domain name. So let me share my screen. So that is the original website, which I just found out today does not exist. Like it went down.
Yeah.
So why am I sharing this? Well, I'll explain in a second. But I remember at the conference, he was talking and sharing numbers, and it was getting an insane amount of traffic, right? People would, for whatever reason, type in, however many O's they would put in their search query, his website would show up, and you would hit a play button, and it would scream. So this website went down, and I don't know if that's why, but a copycat came along, and so now I'm going to share this one, which is,
there it is,
no.me, right? And I don't know if people will hear this when I hit play, but it is it is just the clip from the movie of him screaming "no" is all it is. People think this is hilarious, apparently. Huge Star Wars fans. So let's go to Ahrefs because I want to, share this. So if I put in the original website, you can see that back in the day, and this only goes back to 2015, but back then it was getting, upwards of 30,000 visitors a month from Google, probably more directly. And I think earlier days it was doing even better, like I said, 2013, 2014. So that's fascinating in and of itself, that you can have like just this, not even a real word, like just an N with a dozen O's after it, like ranked number 1 in Google. So that's maybe an idea. Like, are there any, like, something similar? One less O, or I was just thinking, are there any other phrases that are like other words, right? That if you add a bunch of characters, like in a screaming, way, yes, or something else from a movie where it's just a phrase that's ridiculous, right? You could have a whole website dedicated to that. And then if I put in the current, I guess competitor, I found this because I searched for the phrase. This pulled up as, number 1 or number 2. It's not getting very many, 2,000. Oh, am I sharing this? Yes, I am.
Yeah.
A couple thousand visitors a month, right? So if I do, mostly what you get when you search on Google now is like memes of images. You get the video pack at the top, right? And then the number one is the one that I just shared. But a lot of people are probably just clicking on these videos. So,
well, my first thought was, is the original available as an age domain to purchase?
I don't know.
It looks like it's locked up. Looks like it's locked up by somebody. So
okay.
I didn't see when you were sharing, but I'm sure it had a decent number of backlinks from getting that sort of traffic over the years, you know?
I bet it does. Yeah, and I wish I remembered, but it used to get like a ton, you know, it's got a DR of 66, 80,000 backlinks.
That's a domain. So, I don't know really where you'd go with that. Maybe an ode to Star Wars kind of
maybe
website. But I mean, if you wanted to make like a content type site or any type of website out of that domain that's now just, you know, unable to, just not even loading, right?
You could do a meme a day where it's just that sound bite of no and like a GIF that is something, right? Some current event, right? We're coming into political season, so whatever political candidate does something, right? No.
Do you remember? I should actually look this up for a future niche site, but like I remember one time, my friend, I asked him how to do something, and he sent me either a website. I think it was a website, and it shows the person like typing what you asked the person into Google. It's like a passive aggressive way to tell someone like, look it up on your own.
I know. I could use that a lot on Twitter and Facebook, you know, a lot.
Yeah. Every DM I get, or most of the DMs I get.
It's like, here, I Googled this for you. But yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically what it was. Like, I could imagine, like, if somebody asked you something like, do you want to go to so-and-so this weekend? You could just send them this website, right? And just, it's the answer for them.
That's right. But, like, there's got to be somebody creative out there that... not necessarily just this phrase, but some other angle of some other word or screaming phrase from a movie or something, right? That there's opportunities, you know, to create just weird niche sites out there.
I mean, you could make like 200 of those, right? And just one pagers and just see which ones go. You know, I'm thinking of all the Seinfeld quotes that I grew up on, or, you know, all the different... Thinking of John Cusack with the boombox over the, you know, and him screaming from that 80s movie, or, you know, you could just start rolling down all these.
There you go. So somebody do that and let us know how it goes for you. So that's what I got.
All right. I like it. Okay. So I'm on the hook now. I've got one. So this has been around a while. I don't think quite as long. As a matter of fact, I did look it up. It's been around since, I believe, 2009. Now, this is a bit of an ode to my my photography days, right? This one came on the market when I was a professional photographer, and it certainly made the rounds in the pro photo scene, and it is awkwardfamilyphotos.com. And it is, boy, if you just want to laugh, it is a fun website to peruse. The ones they have up right now, just to be clear, aren't quite as indicative of how brilliant some of them are. Their most popular ones, yes, are just they're just great, and they always add a nice witty caption below it. And so it is so just to go through it's user generated content to my understanding. I think at one point it was a person doing. There's a San Diego one right there.
Yeah, look at that.
That's my hometown, but I think at one point it was one person doing it. I think it was a photographer, to be honest with you. I didn't have the time to kind of drill into it, but it's now very user-generated. It says below it's submitted on Instagram by so-and-so. And so they've really mastered this user-generated content sort of thing. And there's some really off-the-wall photos that you're like, how did somebody actually purposely take that photo? That is absolutely wild.
These are great. No, I love these, and they've spun off games. There's a board game that we own. We might actually own 1 and 2. My wife loves awkward family photos, and so you play a game where you get a picture and then you write a caption or something. Or I think there's one where you can write a caption, and then I think there's another one that's like movie quotes paired with awkward family photos or something. And it's kind of like you select your hand and movie quote and anyways.
So you've hit the nail on the head. Like normally we feature these weird niche sites where we're like, boy, think of the monetization opportunities they could have if they just well, these guys have actually done it.
They
have a shop, they have all sorts of stuff that you can engage with, and I think it's so they've done a good job categorizing the site, which you're seeing on the YouTube channel right now as well. And just to give you some of the stats, they are a DR70. Actually, Spencer, I was going to see if you could pull them up in SimilarWeb.
Yeah.
I can't get into my SimilarWeb for some reason. I didn't have time to figure it out before the podcast.
No, I've got
They're only ranking for 20
there.
There you go. Yeah, there's Ahrefs. So they are ranking for 20,000 keywords, which, given that it's just a photo site, says something. They only have 3 articles for the record, so it's not like they're doing this whole content strategy outside of photos.
Oh, wow.
What is that? 41,000 predicted organic traffic from Ahrefs. They've gone up and down over the years. Some really interesting peaks and valleys, but they do have ads on the site. I've got to imagine with social media incorporated on SimilarWeb, we're going to get a much higher traffic number.
Yeah, I'm sharing that now. It looks like 173,000 visitors. Looks like they've been dropping. They were at 237,000, a couple months ago. But yeah, so at least a couple 100,000 visitors a month, probably.
I will say that they've strayed topically a little bit. Probably when they started going user generated, like some of the stuff that gets posted is a little less awesome. Which is okay, but I mean, when they were first coming out, man, everyone they posted was just like cringeworthy. Like there was one, the first one I remember was, I wish I could find it. It's probably one of their most famous ones. There was a photographer who literally took a maternity photo in a professional studio and then photoshopped in where the stomach was, the sonogram of the baby. And it was so creepy. And
that's great.
I just would like to give you an idea of some of the early ones they had. And so I might try to find it while we finish it off. But anyways, they've done a great job. Like it sounds like you and your family actually buy the board game, and which is amazing.
Mm-hmm. We sure have. Yep. So we have played the Awkward Family Photos board game. And I didn't even think of this website. So there you go. But they definitely started online. They've expanded to board games. I wonder.
I found it.
You found the original.
I think I did. Let me see if I can send it over to you here.
Let's see what we can do. See if we can.
Oh, it's a category page. There it is. Nope, it's a category page. Oh man, I was trying to be smart in the moment.
That's all right.
It's a category page. Sorry.
We've got plenty of awkward photos for people to look at.
I hijacked you too early there. Sorry, but yeah, I mean, I think it's great that I bring a weird niche site to the table that you and your family are fully engaged with.
We sure are. Yep, we're into this kind of stuff. So yeah, we've spent money, and if we had time, we could probably look it up on Amazon and see how many copies of the board games they're selling. Okay. Yeah, the website's maybe only a couple 100,000 visitors a month right now, but they're making, 50,000 a month selling the board game, right?
I mean, but again, just to as we close, but man, I would never think to make a board game out of awkward family photos, right? But like that just shows you the possibilities that are out there for all of us. I mean, we don't even have I don't, maybe other people do, but like I don't have niches that are this bizarre, and they found a way to monetize with an Amazon product pretty successfully, just the opportunity out there for everyone to sit down and really think through what other opportunities are leaving on the table that they're not monetizing with what they have going right now.
Yeah. And just to piggyback off that, you reminded me of another example of a blog, the oatmeal.com, expanded into board games now. The Oatmeal is kind of it's a quirky, funny, blogger. I don't know if people have followed along, but hilarious writer that he then created Exploding Kittens, which is a card game, and wildly successful on Amazon. And then they've expanded into multiple other board games. But it all started with blogging, building an audience, huge email list. And, his thing was always quirky and funny, perfect fit for his audience. Maybe that helps people think of their own audience. And, oh, man, what's a product or an idea that I could use to monetize my audience as well? So Awesome. Good examples. Fun episode. I love the niche sites. But I think we had some good news items. Side projects are moving along. Hopefully people listening in got some value out of, everything that we're sharing here. But just staying on top of the industry, what's going on day to day within Google, AI, other news in publishing. So thanks everybody for listening. Of course, follow along over at nichepursuits.com. I do put out a newsletter a couple of times a week, so be sure to subscribe to that if you want more details. But Jared, any closing thoughts from you?
No, another good one. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Today's episode is sponsored by Search Intelligence. Here's a short clip of Ferry from Search Intelligence showing you how their agency built digital PR links to a client's website.
What a masterpiece PR link building campaign. With 20 links in big publications such as The Sun, Express, Mirror, Wales Online, and still landing, I would say this campaign is a massive success. We told the press that people should turn on their heating this summer if they want to save money next winter. And we landed over 20 links in national and regional UK publications for our boiler client. That's crazy. The campaign hook was pretty clever. It is a known fact, at least in the boiler trade, that if you keep your boiler off for many months, it might rust and it might get you into trouble if you keep it turned off from spring to next winter. We therefore advise the press, with an expert commentary piece, on behalf of our boiler client, that people should turn on their boilers this summer just when the heat wave is in full swing. This way they can avoid a boiler failure next winter and save money. Massive publications picked up our story, including The Sun, Express, Mirror, Wales Online, and a few more dozen publications, giving our client links, lots of links, and lots of happiness hormones. No wonder that so many journalists covered our story, as this headline is a massive link magnet to their audience. This case study highlights the fact that a clever hook can be applied to any insight or story to make a campaign more successful and more compelling to journalists. Can you imagine when people see this headline in the news, "You should turn on your boiler this summer"? There is no way they would not click on it. I would click on it. So this was the hook, and this is why this campaign was so successful. I hope this video inspires and shows you what's possible with a clever hook.
If you want similar link building PR campaigns for your website, head to search-intelligence.co.uk and get in touch with them now.